For the 8th straight matchup against the divisional opponent, the Dallas Cowboys come out on top 25-10 at AT&T Stadium, taking down the Washington Commanders for their second divisional win of 2022 and their third straight win overall. Welcome into the First Word presented by Dr. Pepper, everybody. We are live here from the Star in Frisco in the Globe Life Studios with three former Cowboys, Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us, and it is another happy First Word for the third straight week. 4 straight wins to start his career as a starter for Cooper Rush. He's the first Cowboys quarterback to ever do such a thing in his first 4 starts. But, Nate, I'll start with you. Your overall thoughts in the 15-point win for the Cowboys.
You know, it was kind of amazing because you would think that this Redskin team would come in and try to play as sharp as they could, but they had 11 penalties for 136 yards. Every time they got something going, they would kick themselves back. And then our defense kicked in the second half and just shut it totally down.
11 penalties and 136 yards. You mentioned it. The Commanders just did not do any favors to themselves, but the Cowboys took advantage.
Yeah, they hurt themselves in a major way, and it comes from the standpoint of they really had a lot of penalties in regard to a lot of big penalties. Okay, you start talking about the interception by Cooper Rush. That was 1. Then there happened to be another interception by Cooper Rush. That was 2. Both of them got called back because of illegal contact and a holding call. They beat themselves up. Those were 2 major plays in this game that changed the tide.
Yeah, without a doubt, they changed the tide a lot because without those penalties, Washington would have been in a lot better field position there, and they probably could have taken advantage of a Dallas defense. But to me, offensively, Cooper Rush, once again, besides those 2 early mistakes that he made, he was extremely efficient out there, passing the ball, keeping the ball out of harm's way, minus those penalties. But he did a great job out there. They were feeding Zeke, feeding Pollard as well. The offensive line could not really handle those 2 Bama boys in the middle. They gave him a little trouble throughout the entirety of the game. But the receivers, I'm talking about Noah Brown, Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, they really stepped up in a big way and made some huge, crucial catches in this game. So hats off to those receivers. They played a heck of a game. On to the next one.
6 receptions, 97 yards and a touchdown for CeeDee Lamb. Brown had 61 yards. Elliott had 32. Gallup had 24 and a big touchdown in that first half as well. So I want to go to the defensive side of the football before we come back to Cooper Rush because they were, again, fantastic. 4th straight game they've held an opposing team under 200 yards passing. It was just 170 yards through the air, 2 interceptions, 1 for Trayvon Diggs, the first career interception for Deron Bland. Barry, when you look at this defense, they continue to get better every week, and I feel like they're shoring things up as you go along. What do you look at?
Man, when you have a front 7 and a pass rush like the Cowboys have right now, it makes everyone else's job out there easy. I mean, the corners, they're playing some strappy coverage as well, but when the quarterback's back there and he's seeing ghosts, he's running for his life the entire time, it makes that secondary look 10 times better. Diggs was out there once again shadowing McLaurin, held him to, I think, maybe 2 catches out there, so he really blanketed that guy up. But that defensive line, they're getting after quarterbacks out there. And Donovan Wilson is taking advantage of all his opportunities out there. He just seems to flash and pop off the tape every single time you watch this tape, man. So Donovan Wilson, hats off. You had a heck of a game. Defense overall, a great performance.
I think the defense took advantage of the fact that Washington kept putting themselves in bad down and distances. Because you look at Washington on the ground, they did a great job, honestly, at 27 carries for 142 yards, over a 5-yard average. That was something that showed a crack in Dallas' defense's armor. However, those 3rd down penalties or whatever those penalties that put them in a situation where they're 3rd and long, now you play into the hands of Dan Quinn and all the goons that he has on that side of the ball where those guys can pin their ears back. They have about 7 or 8 pass rushers that can just simply get after you. It's not the position you want to be in for Washington, but Dallas loves it.
Every week it seemed like somebody popping up. It was Gallimore this time popping up, making a play. Dante Fowler return, making a play. I tell you, when you had a Beast Parsons doing what he's doing, it just gives a lot of single blocking out there, and they take advantage of it.
Yeah, they definitely did. And the Cowboys forcing those turnovers, the pressures were there. Really weren't a ton of sacks against the team that had coming in, given up 15 sacks of Carson Wentz. It was the pressure, though, that allowed for the secondary to really have some success. But let's go to the offensive side of the football. The ground game was effective early, but it was more so not because of the yardage, but because of the wear and tear it took of that front 7 of Washington. Nate, when you looked at the way that the balance kind of turned out, the yardage looks like they dominated through the air, Dallas did. But how did the balance help things out for Cooper Rush in the end?
They opened it up with Zeke, and they continued to pound Zeke up the middle, right outside the guards, right inside the tackles, and they was making some leeway. And as the game went on, the passing game opened up. And I believe that Cooper Rush is one of the better guys when it comes to play action pass.
Yeah, I would like to see more running, to be honest with you, Kyle. I didn't think that we had an effective running game. I think when they actually had successful runs, they were in crucial times. But overall, Washington's defensive line dominated the line of scrimmage in terms of the run defense.
Yeah, without a doubt, those two guys in the middle, Payne and Allen, they definitely dominated and stuffed up the run a little bit when you talk about Zeke and Pollard out there. But, kudos to Kellen Moore. He kind of stuck with it. We've seen in the past where, the running game isn't going as great as we may want it to go, but let's go ahead and pass the football. No, he kind of stuck with the running game throughout the entirety of the game, kept Washington's defense honest out there, and Cooper Rush and those boys were able to take advantage of it.
Let me ask you this, Isaiah, since you said that the offensive line didn't necessarily have their best game of the year. You didn't really establish the run. Is that a credit to not only Cooper Rush, but really Kellen Moore of the scheming that allowed for them to still be successful offensively?
I think so. And I think that Kellen Moore was more aggressive today because of the fact that he had, Gallup on the outside. Yeah. And you saw a lot more shots down the field, which either turned out in results of big plays or a result of a penalty. Either way, it goes to the favor of the Dallas Cowboys. So that was Gallup's immediate impact on this game by having his presence here.
The two catches for 24 yards, one of them for a touchdown. But he had two pass interferences called against him down the field that would have been probably another 50 yards to his total. So Michael Gallup being back in the offense certainly opened things up for the Cowboys, though it didn't necessarily show up in the box score. Speaking of the box score, here are the final stats as the Cowboys get the win, 25-10 over the Washington Commanders. The Cowboys now 3-1 on the season, and they are just one game back of the Philadelphia Eagles for first place in the division. They've got a big-time matchup next week on the road at SoFi Stadium against the Los Angeles Rams, but we are not done on DallasCowboys.com of breaking down this win for the Cowboys. We've got Cowboys OT and Cowboys game night coming up tonight, so stay tuned for more post-game reaction. The Cowboys win it at AT&T Stadium here in Week 4 over Washington, 25-10. Thanks for joining us on The First Word, presented by Dr. Pepper.